There we go. I reorganized my stream deck and I completely messed it up. I apologize. Welcome back to the stream. I am Bahamut, your caster, and we have a little scrim tonight between Alaska versus Reborn Knights Black. And I do believe I checked it correctly. On the left-hand side, we have Alaska, and on the right-hand side, we have Reborn Knights Black. Now, we actually have the Dahaka ban coming out from Reborn Knights Black first. We're going to shorten that during this game and call him RKB. But this Dahaka ban, I really like that, actually. Mostly because of the fact that he does have this global pressure, as well as if he is in that top lane soloing and you do get into an engagement in the bottom lane, it becomes extremely difficult to, constantly deal with that threat of, is he going to pop into the lane? Is he about to, flank us? And then, this 3v3 becomes a 3v4, and it's really difficult. So the flat-out ban from Dahaka at the start here, I think, is really, really positive on the side of RKB. Now, Alaska here, curious to see what they're going to be banning out on Dragonshire. We often see things like Genji, Uther. Those are a lot of heroes that we tend to see banned, but we're actually going to have the Malthael ban. And I like this. The Malthael provides a lot of percentile damage, and the Dragon Knight is one of those things that I do believe will suffer from that, so taking him out of the game is really strong. And there is actually the first pick Uther, as we kind of discussed when we were just saying that sometimes that's the first ban, but we're going to get into this 1-2 slot for Alaska, and Dragonshire, it's one of those maps you can really start with, a strong tank, strong healer, and flex your entire draft around the rest of this. And it gives you a little bit of an advantage to kind of control it because of the fact that RKB will have a 2-3 pick after this, and then they go into the ban phase. But if you get this tank healer in the first 2 slots, not every map, it's not, like this is how you just win the draft, but it's definitely something that, if you feel like you want to get something, or if you feel like you want to be a little bit more responsive to the enemy draft, it's definitely a way you can go about it. And it looks like they're going to go ahead. Okay, so it looks like they're going to pick up the ETC and the Rhaegar, and I really like the ETC pickup here because it's a double threat. You technically, so if RKB goes into a global, they can utilize ETC as that global and get the stage dive and just have him rotate around the map as needed, and that becomes just that same kind of threat at the beginning when I was mentioning Dahaka. But at the same time, if they don't take that, you can still go into the stage dive, but the one thing you consider at that point is, well, if they don't have any stun outs or any sort of, anything that will interrupt the mosh pit, that's an option too, especially where these points where you tend to get into, 3v3s, 4v4s, because you are splitting the team up to get these control points at top and bottom lane. That Moonshrine, typically we see like a 3-man down there. So that mosh pit becomes just that time bomb, or kind of, it's that element of surprise. And, the ETC will do that mosh dance. But we're going to get this last 2 picks on the side of RKB. And I honestly think Garrosh is available as... Ooh, we're going to... Okay. So I'm going to go get ahead and get... I like the draft on the side of RKB because of the fact that they kind of did the standard thing, which is... And they're playing a little bit safe because I think these teams... I don't think they've played each other yet. So, they're going to probably try and feel each other out, see... which way they're going to be drafting in this first matchup, as well as, how their play style is going to be during the game. Because, when you go from team to team, everyone plays a little bit different. Some are a little bit more aggressive. Some choose to do different rotations. So it's, the first game is always a little kind of tiptoey. You tend to play a little bit more standard and just, you kind of fill the roles and make sure that you kind of play the map correctly. So at this point, on the side of Alaska, banning out something like a Falstead might be an option. They're going to go ahead and actually get the Anubrak. Yeah. I'm fine with the Anubrak, actually. I don't think they're going to solo tank on the Arthas. The Anubrak provides a web wrap, and that if they're going to go into the solo Rhaegar, that might be the reasoning behind the Anubrak ban, as well as the fact that the disengage and the engage that Anubrak has is really, really powerful. So Alaska banning that out because it's just something they don't want to deal with here. RKB, though, this is the point of the draft where it's a little bit hard because you've only locked in a tank and a healer. So it's like, what do you take otherwise? And they're hovering over Leoric at this point. They're going to ban out the Leoric. Oh, boy. Wow. Wow. And the one thing, so the Anubarak ban, they want to make sure that they have Rhaegar for the Ancestral up against the Greymane Curse Bullet. That's essentially what that is for right there. To my understanding. Now, I will go and ask these teams. I'm going to go ask them. I'm going to send them a message after this and ask why the Anubarak ban, but I'm pretty sure it's so that it doesn't counteract the Ancestral healing from Rhaegar. Because the other factor, too, is I was kind of saying, you know, what if they do go into that solo healer territory, and it looks like they're going into that, and the web wrap completely counters that. Now, you can get a Li Ming, which will burn it down a little bit, but then you're just filling that slot with a Li Ming, and maybe you have something more that you're going to prioritize on this map, like that false that we had talked about. The global threat here is definitely something that you want to worry about. Now, these last two slots on RKB, I honestly think like a ranged assassin or a mage, like a Kael Thuzad or a Gul'dan or... Oh, they're actually going to go into the Alarak and Karazim. This is interesting. This is very interesting. But I like this. This is the silence from the Alarak is going to be very, very useful for RKB here. If they can get the silence onto the Rhaegar or the Cho'Gall, it's definitely pretty much just one of the members of the Cho'Gall can't do anything. I mean, Gall can attack, or excuse me, Cho can attack, but Gall can't. I mean, it just sits there because of the silence, obviously. And then Karazim, this is interesting. They want the extra damage as well as the healing. So they're going to go with the solo tank Arthas, though. Now, a Zagara? Really? I didn't see that coming. I mean, it's a global threat, yes, and I think it does it works perfectly well for the map. But the thing is the damage going to be enough is the question I'm going to ask. Because I was thinking something more along the lines of a Falstead in this situation, but either way, we got a Cho'Gall, so this is going to be very interesting. And on the left-hand side, we have Alaska with Sierras on Zagara, Vern on Rhaegar, Rexpa on Gall, Bubble This on ETC, and Hedgie on Cho. On the right-hand side, we have Reborn Knights Black with the Piemaker on Greymane, Zedek on Karazim, Crafty Devil on Alarak, Subway Slayer on Arthas, and Glover on Uther. Alright, we are going to be getting into this matchup here. Any second? There we go. Okay. Looks like we just had one more member kind of loading in there really quickly. Okay. You see the proc rock from ETC. Damage build. Okay, so Iron Fist from Zedek. That's interesting. Okay. So they're going to go into that damage-centric build for him. Nothing too out of the ordinary, I believe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sustaining power, okay. Cocktail build from the Greymane, but either way, we actually have the start of the match here. Zagara already going into the top lane. Cho'Gall being able to get that vision out with the orb. Now we do have just a charge in here from Hexba. We do have Subway Slayer getting in a little bit deep here, but we do have the silence going out from Crafty Devil, and that will be the first kill going over onto Rhaegar. Bubble This and Cho'Gall will be disengaging here, but they do have a little bit of damage coming out from the Piemaker. And so the one thing that I'm curious is what kind of rotations we're going to be seeing this map. Are they going to stick to doing a solo laner in the top and then having a 4-man rotation between mid and bottom? Or are they just going to do some just kind of standardized laning and just kind of put the tanks in mid and all the fun will be in the bottom? We'll see. Now, it looks like they're doing a 4-man at this point. And that, it does work. But at this point, what it is also allowing Cho'Gall to get free push here. But there is a huge dive, a little bit of healing out from So, ooh, the dodge from the Howling Blast is really good. Vern coming in for a little bit of healing here. Looks like they should be able to disengage here. Unfortunately, RKB will not be able to secure a kill into Cho'Gall before this Dragonite phase starts. We'll be tapping that well. Currently have actually the matchup between Crafty Devil and the Zagara in top lane. Looks like Crafty Devil will go ahead and claim the beacon. In mid, though, we have a little bit of a fight between Zedek and Bubble This. Trying to just see around the map here, but we do have a rotation from the Pie Maker potentially going in for a dive. We do have, looks like Cho'Gall Rhaegar got that point in bottom, and Zagara is actually going to be capping the Moon Shrine, so that's going to be the channel going over on the side of Alaska. Unfortunately, with the two members in mid lane, they will not be able to capture this anytime soon. We do have Zedek just kind of hiding in this bush waiting for the delay, and he will go ahead and dive right onto Bubble This to get that. Currently have Crafty Devil, though, grabbing this control point in the top lane. Greymane waiting in the bush here. Is there a potential gank onto Sierras? Sierra's going to go for the vision, but unfortunately it might be his own undoing. The telekinesis from the Alarak will be getting the kill, and they will go ahead and start to push up that top lane a little bit further. Now in bottom, we do just still have this control from the Cho'Gall Rhaegar combination here. They're going to be leaning quite well up against the Arthas and Uther, who I believe just back to go into the mid. They're dedicating a lot of resources to this mid push, and for now it's it's going to whittle down the tower shots, but it's not going to be doing too much. We currently have, though, in this top lane, the Zagara going up against Crafty Devil. And this will be an even matchup. Now, we do actually have Rhaegar falling in bottom. Vern will get caught out there by a few of the members of RKB. Subway Slayer going to Hearth back. Glover will try and go ahead and capture this, but it looks like There's no G, but I'm trying to pronounce both the names together. We do have a rotation down from Zedek, and it looks like they will go ahead and leave this point. It will go back over to halfway. Zagara now back in top lane. They should be able to give this over in the bottom, but Glover will go ahead and capture this. So they are just going to kind of trade these out. Actually, I'm completely wrong. No, we have Alarak holding the top lane. We do have a rotation in from Zedek. Bubble This will be able to delay this for a little bit. Fortunately, in the bottom, we won't be able to have a counter push. The Greymane so close. Pie Maker with 130 health left on Cho'Gall. They were so close to just getting. If only there was just there was no cooldown for the Field Nace cocktail, and it looks like Zedek will be able to channel this in time. That will be the first Dragonite going over to Reborn Knights Black, and they also have 7s at this point, so they just got the same on the side of Alaska, so it is even at this point. But RKB having the advantage on this map. They're going to take the Dragonite top lane. Sierra's a little low here. Going to have to kind of play safe, just kind of push out those Banelings. But there is a little bit of invade from the Alarak. And I like the poke damage that Sierra's is just putting out here, just making sure that keeping the Dragonite back, whittling it down a little bit, but it looks like this well will be going over. Kick goes out, and unfortunately that is going to be a squashed bug. So Zagara will be falling here, but in bottom lane they actually trade out and get the fort. Howling Blast going out from Subway Slayer will connect onto the Cho'Gall orb going out, or excuse me, the bomb going out. Well, getting actually a lot of value just going out and actually returning, hitting 2 of the members. Currently, though, it looks like we will be getting the top destroyed as the Dragonite just ends here. We have a little bit of Subway Slayer is taking quite a bit of damage. Rhaegar getting the cleanse onto the Cho'Gall, able to get out of there. Slowing Totem is there just to kind of slow them down from getting this chase. But we are quite close to 10s on the side of RKB. About a half a level down here on the side of Alaska. They're going to need to just kind of play their lanes a little bit safe here and make sure that they soak up and try and work towards their 10s as well. But until then, RKB is going to have the advantage on the map. So they definitely will be holding this over. Now Zedek kind of posturing over here, seeing if maybe he can steal away this camp. But at the same time, they don't have 10, so now is the time they need to take a fight. Bubble This coming in, but seeing the rest of the team kind of rotate now. Cho'Gall is here, gets the orb out. ETC is all by himself. The power slide through the majority of the team will actually start to separate a few of them. Glover falling extremely low. Gonna have to go to that back lane, trying to get heals out to a few of the members. We currently still have a 1v1 in the top lane. This fight looks like it's going over to RKB. The healing is coming out from the Rhaegar. There is the self-heal. They actually get the first kill onto the Kharazim during this engagement. They get a follow-up kill onto the Greymane. ETC will be falling here. Subway Slayer and Glover are extremely low. They actually also lose over the camp, and that will go over to Alaska. They try and go onto Subway Slayer. Unfortunately, he will be able to get away with about 300 health. And that was a good time to force because of the fact that they got that one, early pick in the fight. It really started to snowball in their favor. And that will kind of even out the experience at this point before this next Dragonite phase. Now we do have a little bit of a meetup in this mid. Zedek back now from death. Glover coming in as well. A majority of the team actually looks like they're kind of posturing around here, looking like they want to take a fight. Zagara currently just kind of making sure that the Nidus network is going to get spread around this map. We actually have the Pie Maker already going on to this camp. Will be scouted out by ETC, so the rest of the team will rotate over here just to make sure that they do confirm it. The Twisting Nether is out, and they connect onto so many members. The Mosh Pit set up this entire thing. Oh my god, the 4-man Mosh Pit. And we do have Arthas using Arm of the Undead, just trying to get out of this. He will be getting out alive because they're going to go ahead, and it looks like they're going to probably prioritize this Sun Shrine in the bottom, and this Moon Shrine in top will be held over by the Alarak. Excuse me, Sun Shrine in top. But the Moon Shrine in bottom will be captured, and it looks like this should be a channel for the Cho'Gall. And they've already postured him up here. The one fun fact, if you are racing a channel versus the Shrine channel, you're always going to get the Dragonite ahead of time. So it's just something to note in the future. If you're ever playing the game and you're a little worried, if they get on the point after you've already started channeling, you're going to get that Dragonite. So just stay still, and you can potentially win the game. You never know. Late game Dragonites are extremely powerful, but we do have a little bit of a push here into the mid lane. Just waiting. RKB is actually waiting for quite a few of the members to come, just waiting for that one member to come back. But we actually had missed in the top lane. There was that kill onto the Zagara, but they respond in mid with the kill onto the Kharazim as he came out of that 7-sided strike. The Pie Maker could potentially get caught out here, but they're going to go ahead and focus down this fort, and they're going to rotate the Dragonite into the bottom lane, start working on this keep gate. This is the strongest. This is one of the strongest lanes for the Dragonite, so we can see the priority here. The kick actually goes out onto the Arthas and moves him away from a few of the members of the team. We will have Glover finishing his level 1 questing talent at this time. Pie Maker falling extremely low with like just under 200 health. So quite a bit of damage coming up from a few of these members. We do have the Dragonite ending now. We do have 13s on the side of Alaska, but they did have their Alarak there for a second. I was wondering if maybe they were going to force a talent tier down fight, but it'd be advantage on their side. But we do actually have ETC currently in this bush. Just Bubble This is waiting to maybe slide out and get another Mosh because they do have all of their ultimates back up, so the Twisting Nether can completely just, as we saw last time, it took the majority of the team down to half health. The Howling Blast will connect. There's a huge 5. Oh my god, a 4-man Mosh, and they get the entire team with the Twisting Nether at the same time. Arthas will be falling here. Uther with the Divine Storm to buy himself a little bit of time. Alarak is currently rotating into the lane. Zagara, in the meantime, is currently just working on a camp while all this is happening. Ghost Uther will be forced. And they're going to go ahead, and it looks like they're going to go and try and get this keep. And with the majority of the team dead, they can posture up onto this. Crafty Devil will be able to try and get a little bit of poke damage out, just delay this. Actually, ETC taking quite a bit of damage. Bubble This having to back off the last second. Now, the majority of the team is back, and they need to play this safe because Bubble This was a little bit low. Zagara came in just to kind of, Sierra's just throwing out a few of those Banelings just to kind of demount people as well as slow them down. They will get the complete disengage, and they're going to go ahead and steal away this camp as well. Subway Slayer will scout this out. They do see it from the Zagar creep. We do have the cleanse out from the Rhaegar. There is no Mosh at this time. There's a huge... Oh my god, the dive in from the Alarak as well. Bubble is taking so much damage, but there's so many members in the bush here just stuck. We currently have Subway Slayer falling so extremely low. Glover is going to fall as well. We do get the power slide out from Bubble. The Pie Maker is in a horrible position, and unfortunately that is going to be the Wolfman dying here. Okay. I was about to say, holy crap, might he get away? And it looks like the Dragonite altars are up currently, but it looks like they're going to go ahead and posture up to end this game. Actually, no. They're going to go ahead and get the Dragonite, it looks like. Zagara does have or I believe... she has 18 seconds. Oh, no, she already went through it. Okay, I was about to say, she has Nidus, so she can just pop back up there. And she already just popped the one in the bottom lane. And it looks like ETC Bubble This is going to go ahead, get this Dragonite. And with 3 levels ahead, they're going to posture up for the mid lane. Now, they do have to rotate their Zagara in, or are they going to keep her in the top? That's okay, no. So she's in the Nidus currently. And she is going to be coming... Okay, so they're going to be taking this into the bottom lane. So this is the final defense for Reborn Knights Black. They have to play this extremely safe because they don't have 6 teams yet. ETC did also just finish his proc rock. There is the kick onto one of the members. There is a huge twisting other onto a few of the members of RKB. Crafty Devil falling a little bit low, and Zedek as well. Glover trying to get some of that healing out, but himself is falling low. Here, the Pie Maker gets the disengage. Alarak diving through a few of the members. The silence is out as well. Crafty Devil so low, being able to get the telekinesis away, but Cho'Gall will be there with the body block and the kill. The Dragonite will be ending, and that will be the core falling. GG, well played. The first game going over to Alaska. Whew, the last couple seconds of that game, I couldn't even just keep up with it. But what an amazing game between these two teams. Pie Maker doing 22,000, but the Cho'Gall, Rexpo, 85,000 hero damage output. That is quite a bit. Now, looking at some of these talents just to see if anything pops out that's a little weird. The one thing, the 7-sided strike, they went into... It's just... I think they had a combination here that they planned on running, but unfortunately, once that 10 fight happened, that was definitely the complete turn of the game. There was that one fight when at the Siege Giant camp where they just they were a little bit low and they kind of were down a little bit, but they forced the fight before 10, and they ended up getting the majority of the kills there, and that swung the entire pace of the game into Alaska's favor, and they just kept that pressure up. They just kept getting solo picks. It was just at that point they got the ball in their court because for the majority of the beginning of the game it felt like RKB was holding that, and it just once that fight happened it felt like the entire dynamic shifted in that game, and Alaska seemed to control it from that point on very, very well. So amazing plays from both teams though. We're going to be setting up hopefully another game. I know this block is only about an hour long, so they're probably talking amongst themselves just to figure out the next map here. But I believe, yeah, we only have one more game because that first one was about half an hour. Stat-wise, I'm interested the Envenom spikes. Because typically we see Medusa Blades here for the laning. It's an interesting change. I mean, it is an activatable damage buff. And if you are going to be... I mean, in the late game, we did see, just looking stat-wise, the Zagara here damage, it's not awful at all. And even then, just the overall laning, the overall utility that you can get from the laning from it is extremely powerful as well. So we do have the lobby set up for the next game already. I just got the invite. They swapped sides on me, so give me a quick second. I need to adjust one thing really quick. Hopefully they don't start the game yet. All right. Let me just copy this out. And update that. So it looks like we are just setting up a couple last-second things here. I apologize. It's just that last game just completely caught me out of left field. Just the entire just ending of that, how insanely quick that last fight went. Looks like we are going to throw out the R's here, and we are just going to just hover over this button till we go into it's just about there. We're going to be going into Tomb of the Spider Queen. All right, so on the left-hand side this time, we have RKB, and on the right is Alaska. I made sure to check the lobby. It's a habit that I'm trying to also, always double-check the lobby, because sometimes these teams, they swap sides, and if you're not paying attention, you'll be sitting there the entire time like me, just like, man, this is such a weird draft. It's almost like it's the other team. But either way, we actually have the Malthael ban coming out from Alaska here. And he is a strong solo laner, but curious. Tomb of the Spider Queen, it is another... There's potential for it. I'm not going to say anything. We'll see. We'll see as this draft develops. Now, on the side of RKB, do you consider banning out the ETC at this point? Because that last game, those two Moshes... Now, granted, there were only literally two Moshes in that game, but they went ahead and banned it out. ETC on this map, in my opinion, is very strong as well. But the other thing that you need to consider as also is Diablo on this map is pretty powerful. That's just something that they might want to consider. Now, Alaska, they do have first pick here, so what are they going to be taking in this number 1 slot? The Rhaegar was pretty powerful, and the Zagara was really useful as well. I think either of those would be a... I mean, Zagara first pick, I don't know what year we would have to be in for that to happen, but it'd probably be like... God, that'd be like early 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Like, that's when she was just stupid powerful and just in every single game. Like, I think she was the first specialist I got to 10 because for a month straight, all I played was Zagara because at one point she was just she was in such a good place, and it also helped me practice my my macro play. But we're actually going to see a Greymane pickup here on the side of Alaska. Strong solo laner. I prefer to see him with the team. He's extremely powerful at killing heroes, so why not let him run around with some friends instead of being in the solo lane? We'll see here, though. We'll see as this draft develops. Now, RKB, they're going to have this 1-2 slot, and I wonder what they're going to be going into at this point. We often see on this map, actually, there is a small percentage of people who go into the Gul'dan Ariel, and that wouldn't be a horrible first pick. You definitely get good wave clear. You get someone who can keep your healer's mana bar full at all times because of the damage output that he has. We're actually going to see... Okay, so we're going to have Leoric, the man who's never off the battlefield. Oh, no, go back. Wrong skin. I'm sorry. And a Kael'thas. So they're going to go for Kael'thas for the wave clear, but... Come on, that Leoric skin. I mean, buff Leoric. He's not supposed to have meat on those bones. But either way, now this 2-3 slot. What are they going to be going into here? Do they try and kind of mimic the same draft that they did last time, or well, not? They'd more or less mimic what RKB had done with getting the melee assassin, tank, and healer in this first phase of the draft, and then after the ban phase, you kind of flex a little bit on those 2 last slots. So I'm just curious what they're going to be going into here for these next 2 picks. Joanna and Stukov wouldn't be bad, but they're going to go into the Rhaegar and Nubrak. Interesting. I like the web wrap from the Anubrak that does kind of hinder their entire team at any point. You lock down if they go with the if they're just on the Kael'thas or something and there isn't much damage from many of the members, they can just web wrap that Kael'thas and just move into the entire enemy team. If he is that only kind of like high burst threat you need to deal with, he completely just mitigates him. So going to this ban phase though, The only thing I'd be a little bit worried about on the side of RKB is, are they going to go into another Cho'Gall? Because the draft is semi-similar to what was played in the first game. Oh, thank you, Gofdi, for the obligatory Bahamut praise. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. But what are we taking this in this band? Like, do you consider the Cho'Gall? Because 80-some thousand hero damage in a game is terrifying, and there it is. And it was even the Gall too. But I mean, I can't even say the words. That game, just looking at the stats afterwards, it's absolutely terrifying to consider. So I like that they went into the Gall ban here. Now, Stitch's ban is interesting, but mostly because of the fact that, you know, I didn't see this coming, but now that they banned the Stitches, it makes complete sense. They could have easily gone into a Stitches Malfurion at this point. They didn't have a healer. They didn't have a tank. Main tank, technically. Or, well, I don't know. Stitch is more off-tanky, if anything. You could put Leoric in that main tank if you're considering those two as which is one. But either way, the hook into the Root as well as the Kael'thas Whirlwind. So that's a combination that they don't want to deal with, so they just went ahead and said, nope, Stitch's hook, we're just not going to deal with that because it could potentially set up RKB to win the game, because if you do get those, you know, those hook blow-ups, you can, you know, it's obviously the game is now 4v5, and it's your advantage in that 5, so you can push in harder. Now, I think that completely threw off the draft a little bit, so they're going to go into the Arthas and the Uther again. Still works well with the combination. At this point, I would expect either Arthas or Leoric to be their solo laner, and see a 4-man rotation between obviously one or the other, and then Kael'thas Uther for the clear. And they're going to need some melee. The Alarak is an option, honestly, again. I think it would work perfectly. They could technically put the Alarak in the solo lane against the Greymane. But we will get there after we get these last two pickups from Alaska here. Now, without the Cho'Gall, and I'm curious to see if they actually were going that direction, because looking at the draft, it is, you know, the potential is there for it. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be taking these last slots. A ranged assassin wouldn't be a bad idea, as well as some wave clear would be pretty good. Or maybe an off tank and then some wave clear. So, I mean, Kael'Thuzad's still available. Gul'dan's still available. You still have Sonya, Dahaka. It's the first two that I was talking about being open too. But realistically, Kael'Thuzad, that's gonna be a little terrifying. And then the Sonya in the solo lane is gonna be going. That's gonna be the 4-man rotation of Alaska is terrifying to me. I am going to be very honest. The dive lockdown that you have, it just, you know, Burrowing from Anub'arak, that's a stun. You have his straight line. I can't remember the name of it right now, and I apologize. But his straight lines, you know, he is the straight line stun. Then you also have Kael'Thuzad, who has the slows, stuns, roots, all that. Rhaegar has slows. Greymane just has dive on you the entire time. So I'm a little afraid for RKB at this point, but this last pick could potentially just change the entire draft. Now the question is, what is that pick going to be? I honestly think the Alarak is their option. They're going to go to the Tyrande here. Interesting. So they're probably going to try and focus Tyrande's utilize Tyrande basically as a just. They're probably going to focus Kael'Thuzad with it the entire time. I mean, that will be my. Even with a 2-minute delay, your face is worth watching. Oh. Well, have fun going out tonight, and thank you. Yes, I have changed my delay to 2 minutes. I've working with a couple different amateur leagues and stuff, so the 2-minute delay is just a little bit more fair, so I changed it over. But thank you so much for swinging by and watching, and enjoy your night out. But we are going to go into this matchup. On the left-hand side, we have Reborn Knights Black with the Piemaker on Tyrande, Glover on Kael'thas, Crafty Devil on Leoric, Zedek on Uther, and Subway Slayer on Arthas. On the right-hand side, we have Alaska up a game with Sierras on Sonya, Rexpa on Kael'thuzad, Bubblethis on Anub'arak, Vern on Rhaegar, and Hedgie on Greymane. I'm extremely curious to see who's going to be in the solo lane. Will it be the Greymane or will it be the Sonya? I wouldn't be too surprised to see the Sonya. Sierras, from the games that I've been, casting more and more, this team trying to stay in that Division B area, make sure that the more I cast the same games, I get to know like what players do what. And at this point, I'm thinking that Sierras is the solo laner for their teams, so they're probably going to be putting that Sonya into the solo lane bottom. We actually have the Owl Stacks, the Ranger, coming out from Tyrande. This is interesting. Lately, we've seen Tyrande be built more as like a bursty assassin, and the Lunar Flare build that I pretty much always used to see is completely gone. And that's kind of curious because typically you'd see the Lunar Flare build with the Arthas because of the fact that you do have, it's an easy follow-up stun to the Howling Blast. But either way, Ranger stacks for Tyrande as we get this game going here. Now Alaska posturing up just like RKB, just everyone just right around this bush. Bubblethis will get the vision through the fog there. Kael'thas is going to be throwing out a Flame Strike. Will not be connecting on anyone. We actually have the Leoric going up against the Sonya in the bottom lane. So Crafty Devil versus Sierras, while we do have this 4-man rotation from the rest of the members of both teams. It looks like they'll probably be just focusing these rotations before they get 4, as well as, trying to get close to their turn in amount. So it looks like we're just going to have pretty even matchups at this point. So not crazy amounts we can talk about here, except for the late game, the small fight happening here. Bubblethis is going to dive into quite a few of the numbers. The stun coming out from the Piemaker onto Hedgie and Vern. They will get the disengage. No deaths, but just kind of, I think everyone checking each other's damage, seeing how much damage they can put out at this point. Then, maybe in a couple of lane rotations, they'll try and see how much damage they can put out again that time. But definitely really good rotations from both teams. The thing that I really like about this is that they're clearing quick enough to make the rotation where the minions are constantly meeting in mid. We actually have a dive onto the Bubblethis, and he will be falling. First blood going over to RKB. Now in bottom lane, just want to note this really quickly. Crafty Devil, not so much losing this lane, but getting pushed in by Sierras quite a bit, mostly because that Sonya is so... I love Sonya for the solo lane, mostly because of the fact that she doesn't have mana. So she never needs to go back. Her clear is phenomenal. She's great in a team fight. She's great in the solo lane. She's great for getting the camps. All around, she's just a phenomenal person to have on your team. We do have Subway Slayer. The chains won't connect. I was wondering if they were going to get that last second Blight double stack, but that won't be happening. Now 4s are achieved for just about both teams at the exact same time. Healing Totem out from the Rhaegar here. Trying to see if I'm noticing anything that's a little out of the ordinary. Most of these talents are looking just the same to me. We do get a pull in onto a few of the members here on RKB from those chains from Kael'thuzad. Vern trying to get a little bit of a turn in here, but it won't be happening. Tyrande will get the Owl out, stacking once again. Currently have Sonya turning in 9 gems in the bottom lane, but a few of these members are just kind of posturing up. No one really having enough for turn in, but they are getting quite close. Ooh, looks like they're going to just back off here. We do have Tyrande. Man, those Tyrande birds are just getting the owls are perfectly timed the stun out onto Rexpa there, but unfortunately they do get the turn in for the majority from Varen, so that will be quite a bit. Subway Slayer is a little forward here. Most of his team is behind that wall, so if they do go for this engage, it is going to be a little worrisome. They do get the stun out from Bubblethis, but unfortunately there is no follow-up damage at this time. Most of the teams are just going to be making these rotations. There is enough for turn in for both teams actually at this point. So it looks like they're really trying to posture around this. Hedgie looking like he's about to get 15 in. They are 7 away on the side of Alaska. They do have them on the side. Oh, there's quite a bit of damage going on into Bubble This. They will be able to get the kill onto him, but there will be the follow-up kill from Hedgie onto Arthas there. Piemaker's starting to take quite a bit of damage as well. They will be able to get behind this gate. Glover going to take... just the chain combination onto Glover and Zedek there was a little worrisome, but they will go ahead and get another turn in. Tyrande Bird is actually just in time. Piemaker just getting these birds out perfectly every single time, but they do get the turn in here. So they will have the Webweaver phase starting for them first, and 7s are also achieved on the side of Alaska. Now at the same time, RKB, they're like an eighth of a level, behind the enemy. Well, actually, excuse me, half a level. They must have cleared every wave at once, and also they got a little bit of experience from those Webweavers. So it's about a half a level difference, but 7s are for both sides. So this is, even level, even talent tier. This is definitely the time when you want to, if you can get a pick off of these wave clears, that'd be, your best case situation. But it looks like they're going to go ahead and get behind this gate and just play extremely safe. Go ahead and peek in mid. We actually have a little bit of a fight here between Subway Slayer and Hedgie. There's potential for a kill. Subway Slayer will go behind this gate. There is... He had like 5 health, and I was like, wait, is he about to get away? Unfortunately not. That will be the kill on the Arthas, so mid is going to get pushed in quite hard. Bottom is actually getting pushed in quite a bit. Crafty Devil playing safe here, not wanting to lose 25 of those gems. It definitely would be the majority of the turn-in. Just going to kind of poke around this map here just to see if maybe we catch another kill. We do have Hedgie rotating into the top lane. There's the dive forward from Bubble This. We do have the dive onto the Piemaker, and he will be just exploding here. Now, Leoric will be able to get this clear. In the bottom lane, Sonya is rotating up at this point. 10s are achieved. Do they go for the boss play? Off of the Webweavers, this is a really strong time for them. Tyrande is dead. Kil'Thuzad is Karthing, though. But it could, they could just be doing that because it shows they were showing in lane. They are quite close to another turn at this point. And it looks like they're going to go ahead and just go back to laning. Potential actually for a rotation into... Oh, okay. I thought they were going to maybe prioritize bottom. I thought 2 of the members were going there. But with 10s, they can be a little aggressive. They're about 11 away on the side of Alaska. 64 gems, though, are being held by RKB. And they only need to get 40 of those... Actually, 70 gems now. They only need to get 40 of them in so that they can maybe sneak into that bottom lane. Currently, Sonya is working on the siege camp. They don't know this, obviously. Meanwhile, Crafty Devil with 36 gems. I mean, he's about to be able to get the turn in himself. Now, we do have Rex and Bubble This making a rotation. They get away right away. Once those Siege Giants are popped, the Orc says, no thanks, I'm getting out of this lane. Glover, though, rotating in with the Piemaker and Subway Slayer. It looks like they might even try to go for a fight, but Uther is in that top lane still, so they don't really want to try anything too risky here. But at the same time, the longer they wait, that is only giving Alaska more time to get more gems, and with, I believe, like 2 or 3 more, maybe even a minion wave. Nope, they currently have enough for another turn-in, and at this point, they can just go ahead and do that, and it looks like they're going to start to back off once they got enough of those gems. They kind of pushed in this bottom lane a little bit here. Vern getting a little bit more healing onto, I believe, the Siege Giants just to kind of elongate that push, buy a little bit of time for, it looks like Hedgie's just been pushing up the top and mid lane, while the rest of the team has just been in bottom, kind of working on this fort and just keeping this lane pressured constantly. And that will be the second turn-in for Alaska. RKB need to, kind of... They're on their heels right now, and that's the hardest part about this game. Now, they have 10s. They just got them as these Webweavers are coming down. So if they can get a pick at this point, we do have Leoric currently having to be able to Wraith Walk away. Stun goes out from... Oh my god, the web wrap onto Leoric. He doesn't get behind the gate. He only has 30-some gems, 20-some health. But the Gilneas cocktail. Unfortunately, there is Leoric using March of the Black King to get out. He will be able to get out and save. So Crafty Devil will save those 48 gems. But they do get the kill onto the Uther. And this top lane, it hasn't even had the Webweaver arrive to the gates. So they lost their Uther. Now he is back in like 3 seconds. So that is okay. The death timers aren't that long. But at the same time, mid and bottom's getting pushed in. Rexpa taking an extreme amount of damage. Will get the Ancestral Healing onto him right away. Hedgie taking quite a bit of damage, having to spread away from his team members, making sure not to spread the Chain Bomb from the Kael'thas here. But we do have a combo going out onto Subway Slayer, dropping extremely low. Meanwhile, those Webweaver will be falling, and they're going to go ahead and back off at this point. rotate into the mid lane and try and just pressure up against this next keep, keeping the pressure on RKB this entire time, not letting them breathe here, not letting them go back for mana or health or anything. And so Subway Slayer a little bit low. Zedek dropping a little bit low here. They will be able to stay alive with the healing from Zedek as well as the Pie Maker. But that bottom web weaver getting so much value this entire time. They pulled the enemy team into that top. They actually get the pull on to Subway Slayer. The cleanse is there. They currently, actually he uses Army of the Undead. The Howling Blast does not connect, and unfortunately that is Army of the Undead already used. Now it isn't the longest cooldown in the world. It's, you know, as long as they can stay away from a fight for the next 60 seconds, they'll be fine. But I don't know. Alaska might be looking for a fight by then. They definitely have their 13s. They have the lanes pushed up. And they have all their ultimates available. Now is the time for them to maybe even just sneak a fight. They don't want to lane too far forward and get potentially picked off. They don't want to for turn in. They don't want to, you know, wipe on the boss here. So this is definitely, it's an awkward time to be on the side of Alaska because you can't push up too far. You can't turn anything in. There's not enough camps on the map to kind of, you know, do anything here. But it looks like the rest of RKB will be going and trying to get this turn in. Crafty Devil with 58, and they actually stall this out here. There is a huge amount of damage going out onto Uther, and he will be falling here. Phoenix does go out from the Kael'thas, buying a little bit of time, pushing Rexpa around the turn-in phase there. Uther falling out of Ghost form. Subway Slayer getting body blocked by Bubble This, and he will be falling here. Now we do have the dive out onto the Pie Maker through the wall, slowing them down. There is the web wrap onto one of the members of RKB. Looks like they will be getting this Kael'thas kill. As he comes out of the web wrap, they completely surround him, and that is going to be 37 gems dropped. Now, at the same time, before all this started, they did get that camp in that mid lane, so it is kind of equaling everything out there. They're not getting any advantage on the side of Alaska from that. But also, we have to consider the fact that there has been there is a 3-level Pie Maker falling, getting caught out by. Okay, so there's the cleanses there. Whew. We actually have the Gilneas Cocktail going out at the last second, confirming the keep there. So good utility of that ability, but at the same time, they were able to sneak the Web Weavers. This will help them push up a few of their lanes. And these Web Weavers, they're about 11 minutes, so that, you know, they have a little bit of scaling to them. They're going to damage a little bit more than the ones that Alaska has been sending to Reborn Knights Black. We'll go ahead and pull down the talents here for a quick sec. Actually, you know what? We're going to leave them up because 16s and 13s are just on the cusp for both teams. With this minion wave, they should be able to get it now. It looks like Alaska will rotate into that top lane, push back this Web Weaver, and unfortunately, RKB won't be getting too much value from these Web Weavers. But at the same time, the one thing we have to consider is how many gems do they currently have, because they might even honestly have enough for another turn-in. Now, this bottom lane is the next rotation for Alaska. They will clear this out. But at this point, it looks like RKB is just playing extremely safe. You can see them rotating, you know, behind their gates. They're not even really going to the halfway mark on the map, making sure that if they can scout the enemy team, they're just going to turn away from it. And it's a really smart move at this point. They are down 3 levels. They don't want to, you know, be too aggressive or, you know, give anything over. But at the same time, Alaska, all they need is 1 minion wave here, and they've got a 3rd turn in. And the minion waves, yeah, they're about halfway, and they're starting to get pushed back here. But at this point, bottom's going to get naturally pushed out because of the fact that there are the catapults there. So that's something that RKB is going to have to respond to every so often. But we do have a little bit of a dive here from Bubble This. There's a huge amount of damage going on with so many of the members of RKB here. Lever falling extremely low, and he will be falling. The Divine Storm does come out from the kill, from the Uther there. Seer's getting the Ancestral Healing, but Arthas will be falling here. The Nubrak diving out, and the Pie Maker will be falling. That is going to be the Uther and the Leoric left alive, and at this point that is going to be the boss call from Alaska. They will rotate up here and go ahead, get this boss, and they're probably going to walk this in with the Web Weavers right afterwards. So they're going to go ahead and let Kael'thas finish this out, make him think that he soloed it by himself. They're actually going to... No. They're just saying that you have 1 gem. We don't need your 1 gem. So we're going to go turn in. The owl is out. They actually hit him, provide the vision, show that he's just waiting. Web Weavers are captured, and they're going to try and time this out as the Web Weavers are literally going to be landing in lane. And I've seen this once or twice in leagues of play. This is an extremely powerful move they can make. These web weavers coming up with the boss is just at this point in the game, it's like a boss and a half coming down your top lane, and all you have left is a keep, no gate, and this is something that we need to worry about on the side of RKB. Without 16s, they need to play extremely safe here. Glover rotating in with the rest of the team. They do have everyone postured up behind this keep. There is the Subway Slayer getting quite a bit of damage. The cleanse does go out onto him. He will be safe. There's the cleanse on to bubble this as well. Sierra's getting into that backline, spinning with a ton of damage with the Wrath of Berserker, kind of splitting the team apart here. Boss is encroaching onto the keep. Huge Divine Storm from the Uther, but unfortunately they will be losing the Arthas and Uther at this time. And there is the... Oh no, Tyrande. Excuse me, Leoric. Tyrande's still alive. The GGs are called out. It looks like this will be the end of it. Ancestral does go out into Hedgie. GG, well played. Alaska taking the second game in this scrim.